Hello and welcome to the Graveyard Media Podcast, episode 26 for the week of January 22nd, 2017 or 2018. Okay.
Writing that shit on your checks, man. It fucks it up.
That's
sometimes.
okay, you got till February.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Saine Grey. With me is Dalsson.
That's me.
Thel.
Hi.
Okay, for the first hour, we're going to talk about games and movies we've checked out this week, and then head into some gaming and movie news after. Who wants to start this week?
Fuck, dude. I
No.
actually don't have anything to talk about very much.
What?
Yeah. I didn't
well,
really do
since-
anything this week.
Since you don't really have anything to talk about, you should
Okay,
start.
I
I have the most to talk about. Like, legitimately, I do, so I want to go last.
Since Thel
Okay,
never
okay.
starts, he should start.
All right, I'll start. I think. Where did I watch something else? I'll talk about the one thing that I know I absolutely did watch. We don't usually talk about anime on this. Sometimes we do, but usually not. I watched through the first season of Recovery of an MMO Addict.
Oh.
I had I had like the opposite problem I had with this that I had with Shape of Water, in that they spent too much time building up the relationship. I was more interested in the relationship between these two 30-year-old MMO players, like, going on, rather than them getting together. But maybe there's gonna be another season. I don't actually know anything about the production of this show at all. But from what I did see, it was great. It was a really nice, pure anime where a 30-year-old woman quits her job and decides to play MMO and finds love and friendship through the MMO, and it's great. It's the best. It's got the best wingman I've ever seen in a fucking television show. If you
Good.
want to sit down for like 5 hours to just watch something that's just nice, yeah, go ahead. You watch
Grab a
this.
soda.
It's nice.
I
There's no problems with it. Yeah.
don't like nice anime.
Okay. I mean, I can see that. I also
The only
like
kind of
really-
anime I really like is like super hype shonen shit. Which
I mean, I love me some good dour and depressing anime. Like that's my shit all over.
I like anime
but-
that's good.
Oh yeah.
I don't
yeah,
really care
mean,
about
yes.
genre. I watch a lot of even shoujo anime, so I don't care.
Yeah.
It's good. I'll
yeah, I
watch it.
suppose, but
Yeah, Dalsson tied me down and forced me to watch Boku no Hero Academia, which I was like really Boku no My Hero Academia, which I was really like against doing, and then I watched it. I was like, yeah, it's really good. So
Yeah,
it's
that's on my
whatever.
list. That's probably the next anime I'm gonna actually go out of my way to watch.
yeah, you should put it on the short list because season 2 of that is coming.
Yeah, but
very
my
soon.
short list is like 10 pages long,
Yeah.
I see.
and I don't do any of it. So no.
Right.
Yeah. Do you? Well, if
Do
you
you
want to
have
go last,
anything-
I'll go next.
Okay.
I don't really have a whole lot to talk about. I'll start with games though. I've been playing more Slay the Spire again. I don't really have too much more to add, except that I play it a lot. It's kind of become... It's one of those games that some people will do, like, a couple runs of, like, Binding of Isaac or whatever before bed. I'm kind of like that with Slay the Spire. Like, I can just jump in and then do a run. The only problem with that is, if I play too many, especially in like, right after another, I often get to the place where I'm not paying enough attention to what's happening.
Yeah.
And I make this, like, similar mistakes over and over again, and mistakes kind of really snowball in that game.
Yeah. You lose a health here and there, and then you have less for the next fight, and then that makes you lose more. You have to focus more on blocking so that you don't die, and then you don't kill them as fast, so you lose more health, and yeah, it just goes on and on.
Have you played more Slay the Spire this week? How do you feel about it? You didn't
I
get to talk
actually-
about it last week. So.
Yeah, I didn't get to talk about it last time. I actually played Slay the Spire just now on my stream, and one of the things that I really like about it is how you get a choice of cards and then relics at the end of a boss room, so you can kind of like choose to build your character in a certain way. A couple of runs I was just like, all right, today I'm going to say blocking is for pussies, It didn't work very well. But on one run, I was like, okay, now I'm gonna say blocking is for pussies, and then I went and drew a card that was called Barricade, which causes your block to persist at the end of a
That's
turn.
one of the best cards. That's one of the best cards in the game.
And right after I drew that card, I was like, all right, blocking is no longer for pussies. Now we're a block build, period.
The problem is if you go into being a block build too late, then your deck is full of like offensive cards and you don't have enough blocking. So that's happened to me a lot when I've tried the Ironclad. I definitely prefer the other character more. I don't even remember the other character's name. But that's that's the one I like a lot better.
Yeah, I think it's the Silent or something. I don't know, but I really like the Ironclad over the other character. The other character has like a lot of like combo based abilities. I feel the Ironclad.
I don't think so at all.
Really?
Yeah, I think that the Ironclad has way more combo based abilities. There's more things that take advantage of vulnerable and do more damage when they're vulnerable, and take more damage of weak when they're weak. Like I feel like that's a lot of the Ironclad's bread and butter, which I don't think there's too much There's not too much of that on the other character. I think that other character's main themes are poison, drawing cards, and I think it's just overall more defensive than the Ironclad. Like there's not as many like big hitting cards in the same way that there's like the last time I was going through with the Ironclad, I was getting to the point because there's this other card called like the Demon or something.
Demon form.
Demon form that gives you 2 strength every turn. Oh, and for those of you who don't know, this game is kind of a roguelite deck building game. So you start off with like a basic deck, and then as you go through, you add more and more cards to your hand. So I added demon form to my hand, and that kind of is an interesting change of how you kind of have to play that deck, because in a lot of ways you're better off blocking more early, because you kind of need to
stacks up your strength.
You need to kind of delay yourself so you stack up your strength. So actually that card almost would be better in a blocking build than an offense build, but you can get to the point where you're hitting people for 50 damage. See, I got a relic that gave me 3 strength at the start of every combat, so I always had 3 strength, just baseline. And then that's a good setup for a blocking build. And I think a lot of what, not to cut you off, but a lot of what goes on in this game is you have to really balance how much offense you have compared to defense. Like you can get into a position where you aren't drawing offensive cards anymore. Because all of your stuff is blocked, which is okay, because you can, it won't kill you. A lot of times it won't kill you if you're just stacking up block until you have attack cards, but it's almost worse to have a handful of attack cards. So
here's the thing though, at some point you have to think about it in the same vein as like Dungeons and Dragons. Like, yes, your cleric can do nothing but spend all their spells on healing you, but if they heal you and then an enemy attacks you again because they did not kill that enemy, then the healing was worthless.
Well, yeah, that's just a point of strategy, though. You have to look at your hand and every turn decide if you're going to take a little bit of extra damage to kill something, or if you focus on only attacking this turn, are you going to be able to kill something that would do damage to you? Like, those are definitely considerations, but I don't think that you can kind of wholesale, like, you can't prioritize. You can't necessarily prioritize attacking over defense. Like that just doesn't work. In the same way, you can't over prioritize defense, because then you wouldn't kill anything. So
then you never kill it. Yeah.
And depending on the enemy, some enemies like do start to do more damage over time, and other enemies do less damage over time. So it's like you just have to figure it out.
Exactly.
But yeah, like I have still not made it past the second boss. Like I keep, through various circumstances, ending up not beating it. I think the last time I played, I lost to the boss, and the boss had 1 health. because I just was 1 health short of killing it before it killed me, which just sucked. But that game's really fun. I get really into it.
Right.
What else?
I do like Slay the Spire a lot.
Yeah. So okay, I'll go into this one first. And then we'll talk about the other one together. So this week, Dalsson was playing some Fallout 4.
Yes.
And whenever he's sitting there next to me playing Fallout 4, it makes me want to start modding and playing Skyrim.
Oh boy.
Fair enough.
So I started a new character in Skyrim, and I don't usually do this, but this time I decided to go for an alternate start mod, which I usually just like. I'm not one of those people who really cares that I have to play through that beginning phase again. Like, it's not. I don't think it's that long.
That's the only reason I use alternate start mods.
I honestly don't. Well, I mean, yeah. I honestly don't think that it's that long for me, so I don't care. And in fact, it's almost worse having an alternate start mod, because then if you want to do any of the main story, you have to travel across a bunch of distance to make it to Helgen to start the quest. So
well, a lot of alternate start mods have an option where you just alternate start at the end of that opening sequence.
Well,
at least for Fallout, anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. Some of them probably do. The thing is, the mod that I chose had a different set of options, and I wanted one of the options, but it forced me to not be anywhere near Helgen. So, yeah, I don't know. That game gets wonky if you like haven't updated your mods in a while and start adding new mods, like as you would expect, but
as mods are.
Yeah, no, like that's something that would be pretty obvious if you've ever modded it, but like I kind of ran into an issue where I had not updated animations in one of my mods, and it started breaking other things, or seeming like it was perfectly stable and then crashing to desktop occasionally. So
yeah,
and
it tried to play an animation that just wasn't there.
Yeah, and I started a new character this time, but I kind of kept a lot of the mods I already had installed. So I was kind of walking around in that game, and I was like, man, when you have a lot of good mods, game actually looks really nice. So I think one of the mods for me that especially did it was there's one that changes the skybox to be prettier, and that one kind of really helps. You shouldn't blow it down or towards your camera, because then you have smoke just in front of your camera for a while. You should blow it to your right.
I don't know which direction. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, blow it off screen to your right. That would probably make it not be as annoying to watch.
Fair enough.
Okay. So yeah, that's Skyrim. I don't really have much more to say than that. It's fun. It's Skyrim.
Right.
I have a mod that makes everything kill me really fast, which I'm really considering uninstalling, but I would like to not die all the time. Call me weak, but I don't know. Ultimate combat is kind of seems almost unbalanced with how it tries to rebalance things.
Right.
After that, the next thing I want to talk about is Fallout the board game.
Oh yeah, that's right. We did play that.
Yeah. So this is I was listening to another podcast, and they were talking about Fallout the board game, since it had just come out recently. And from what I was hearing, it was really received really positively. Some people were saying that they enjoyed playing it more than actually caring who wins, which is definitely the experience I kind of got out of it too.
For sure.
Yeah. So this game is I mean, obviously it's a board game, but it kind of is set up in a similar way. I just told you, and then you did it again anyway.
I forgot.
It's set up in a similar way to the actual game is. Like, you kind of set up a map out of semi-random cards. Some of them are intentional, and some of them are random based on whatever scenario you're playing. Right. Everyone takes a character. I think the characters are Vault Dweller,
there's a Vault Dweller, a Wastelander,
Super Mutant,
Brotherhood
Outcast, and Ghoul. And yeah, so like each different card has different associated abilities right off the bat, or whatever weapons or items
or
they start
items,
with.
yeah. Like the Brotherhood Outcast starts with really shitty power armor, but it also gives you damage negation. So
Right.
like it's the T45 power armor. So apparently in the board game that means you move slowly. So you can only move once instead of twice. But
Unless you
starting
spend
at
a
the
bottle cap.
yeah, unless you spend a bottle cap, which I
So-
guess is cola powered like Frankie from One Piece.
Well, I think the intention is that you are, because if you compare it to Fallout 4, you do walk a little bit slower when you're just walking.
yeah.
But when
you're not
you
using a
run,
fusion.
you go faster. But when you
Right.
run, it drains your fusion core faster, which you need to
Mhm.
spend bottle caps on to replace.
Right.
So
Or
it-
find, but that's not really a
right.
Yeah.
So I think that's just what that mechanic is trying to emulate.
Right. Which is fair.
Yeah, so I think that it's really smart with how it kind of uses its different cards and stuff to set up the game. I think it's a little bit like, it's a little mechanics heavy for a board game.
Yeah.
There's a lot of setup. There's like, it takes 2 or 3 games before you're starting to understand how everything is supposed to work, but it's
Mhm.
a lot of fun, and it really echoes that feel. Like, they really captured that feeling of exploring and fighting things and stuff that from the
Right.
games. It
Yeah.
almost feels like a better version of a multiplayer Fallout than kind of any like mods or whatever that have kind of done similar things. So
Right.
Yeah.
My problem that I think if we play it enough we'll run into eventually is we'll have seen everything. Like
yeah, but I don't know
one
how
of
much
the-
that matters.
one of the interesting parts of that game to me is the quest system. So there are quests that at the setup there's 4 different scenarios you can play, and at the start of each scenario you put down a quest card, and when a player completes that quest in a certain way it adds the step to the next quest. So it's like, okay, now because you killed this dude instead of helping him, add quest step 57 instead of quest step 59, right? And so it kind of turns into a little choose your own adventure book almost.
Right.
But all players can complete the quests, so you're competing to do these things. And like when I was playing it, after we found out about this, the first time we played it, we didn't even realize what the setup meant when it said step 1, right? We didn't even know that. We didn't even put down the quest. So we played like half the game with no quest in the game, and we were like, how do we do anything?
Right.
Yeah.
But
And
But
like
basically,
if we
yeah.
paid closer attention to the rules, then that'd be one thing. But I think there's a lot of rules, so it's kind of hard to just immediately
Mhm.
go into it.
yeah. But
Well, are you in the stream right now?
Yeah. Yes.
It's not. I'm only seeing 2 viewers, but
Hold on a second. Maybe it didn't play.
Yeah, try refresh or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
In any case,
Anyway.
it stopped. I'm telling you, dude, it stops playing if you tab out.
yeah, but I'm not tabbed
In any
out,
case,
so... Anyway,
yeah,
so that's, I don't know. I don't really have much
That
else
takes
to
me
say
back
about
to
Fallout the
Twitch.
board game. Like it's definitely worth checking out.
yeah, for sure.
Like, we played this through Tabletop Simulator because we're not local, but I know that one of our friends, after playing it with us, immediately just like, yeah, I'm just buying the
Yeah, he
physical
bought it
copy.
for, like,
So
his friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so that's cool.
Also, the tabletop simulator version has like the legit pieces in it. Like, I kind of like the look of like the you have this little like board that goes in front of you that you can move your pegs around for the HP and stuff. It looks really neat. And I've seen a physical copy of the game. It like the board is really cool because it has like a spot you put your equipment here. It's not just like Munchkin where you buy a deck of cards and then that's it, and then you have to buy like 30 different pieces if you want a Munchkin board set.
Yeah,
or
and if any
anything.
of you know anything about board games, it's made out by Fantasy Flight, who are supposed to be really good at making
Yeah.
them. So definitely worth checking out. So what other games have you played this week?
Me?
Yeah.
I actually,
Or-
before we go into Dalsson, I remembered the other things that I did.
Okay.
I've continued to watch the Pop Team Epic anime, which is
Oh, good.
continuously good. It seems to get better every episode.
What is that? What is that anime about?
Nothing.
No, like, what's the? I've never heard of it, so.
It's hard to
Well, don't just
explain.
stare. Yeah, I don't know.
I think that's what Thel's getting at. Okay, so
You
Pop.
can't- yeah, it's not about.
Yeah, it's not about anything. It's like a collection of dumb, funny shorts. It was based on a manga that was it's like a 4-panel style manga where just dumb shit happens and it's completely random and there's 2 particular characters and one character.
Oh, is that okay? I think I think I recognize the characters. I just didn't know it was.
Oh yeah. It's yeah, and that was the thing when like I heard the anime was announced. I was like, "Hey, Dalsson, you want to watch the Pop Team Epic anime with me?" And he was like, "No." And he's like, "You don't want to watch an anime of this?" I sent him one of the comics. Like, "Oh wait, no, never mind. Yes."
Yeah,
that's funny.
I still haven't showed him any of the episodes, but I'll get around to it.
So what? So what do they? How does that show even work? Like.
Okay, so it's basically a have you ever seen Nichijou?
I'm really bad with names. I don't know.
Okay, then probably not.
It sounds familiar.
You've probably heard about it because it's it's like a clip show, more or less.
Well, because I've watched some short form anime things that were like 8 minutes long, so I've watched stuff like that before. I just don't. Like I might not remember though.
I don't know if it's technically in like half an hour blocks or 15-minute blocks. Because okay, what they do with it is there's like 15 minutes of the episodes, but it's one after the other, and each time they have different voices.
Okay. Does it even have a narrative, or is it just like
no? There's no
joke,
narrative.
A cut, and then another
joke,
setup, and then a
joke. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. Again, it's the same thing with Nichijou.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the manga too.
Yeah. The manga is almost more like a webcomic than anything.
It's the like 4-panel mangas are like a particular genre of manga, and I find it. I like when I heard about the fact that there was going to be a Pop Epic anime. I was like, how are they going to do that? Yeah. It just seemed really weird.
Yeah, I've seen other, like I said, I watched other like 8-minute short anime, and it's like just a collection of 8 minutes, and then like a 2-minute intro, and then an 8-minute show.
And sometimes it's not even like 8-minute shorts. Sometimes they're like 3-second shorts, and they just move on.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Like, setup, joke, move on.
I saw a picture.
I don't know how compelling that would be, but I would have to. I don't know. I might check it out.
It would probably be like dumb fun to watch for a couple.
It seems like the kind of thing I would watch on YouTube for 10 minutes and then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I saw a picture of a bunch of the fans in Japan like standing outside the studio and just going, which. Yeah.
What they were doing,
which is a good thing because that's what the cover of the manga looks like.
What they were doing. Specifically, it was there was like this event for Pop Team Epic that they didn't expect as many people to show up as they did. So the police had to get involved and sort of start corral people away. So people were flipping off the police.
Oh, okay.
Which, I mean, as you do. It's
well, that's not that's in Japanese culture. That's not super common, but
yeah.
Right, but but like whenever a character in Pop Epic flips somebody off, they have like this super detailed, extra realistic hand, which is very contrasting to the style of their head is a circle.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so that was one thing I did. I also watched a movie, Blade Runner 2049. Well, I did watch Blade Runner, but I watched another movie that I want to make a video specifically on at some point, just because of the fact that coming out soon. I watched my favorite superhero movie ever, The Incredibles, and it's still good, still just as good as it was last time I watched it.
Yeah,
that's fair.
So, I've been playing Doom 2016 again. The problem the one problem I think I had with Doom 2016 last time I played it, I didn't play it on a hard enough difficulty. Constantly, I was walking around doing all of these like encounters, and it was just like after the encounter, I'd find this power up and be like, well, I didn't ever need that. Don't know why that was there. Whatever. So I upped the difficulty up a little bit, and it sort of
That's
feels
weird
like
to
I
me
need some
because
of
I
the powers.
feel as if I played on the default difficulty, but I had trouble with it. I don't know. I'm not bad at shooters, so
Yeah. It might just be
maybe
that
I
I'm
did
good
pick
at
a hard.
Doom.
I don't know. I might
You
have picked up a
probably
harder.
did, because I'm the kind of person I'm like a difficulty purist. I believe that you should play on normal difficulty because that's what the devs intend to balance the game around. Unless
I don't know though,
it's
because I feel
something-
like so for Wolfenstein, I definitely chose a harder difficulty just because it seems like they balance it probably. They balance hard probably better than they balance normal. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I
Which is
think
what I was gonna
maybe
say.
I picked maybe I picked hard on Doom.
which is what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Unless it seems like one of the types of games, or if like the dev like berates you for playing on normal, like it's like, okay, obviously they don't want you to play on normal.
Yeah.
Basically, I pick the difficulty that I feel the dev should want me to play on. So like in roguelikes, I'll always pick, if there's even a difficulty, I'll always pick the hardest one because that's how those games are supposed to be.
Some of them though, that breaks the game. Like the Pit, which is actually a roguelike that I like quite a bit.
Mhm.
The hardest difficulty is like it just untenable. It just cheats for nothing, like no reason. They don't give you anything, and it's just not good.
And that's exactly why I pick normal difficulty most of the time, because a lot of difficulty settings try to like make the enemies cheat, or they just do really shitty difficulty and increasing their health and damage, and that's not fun.
See, I'm in the camp that roguelikes and roguelite and roguelikes and even roguelites in a lot of cases, they just shouldn't have a difficulty. Like they should be trying to kill you but giving you enough chance to win. Like and if it has difficulty, then it's like probably all three difficulties are unbalanced, you know?
Right, exactly.
Not so much in shooters and stuff, but definitely in like any rogue style games.
Yeah. But getting to the point of what I was going to say in the end, like I talked around it a while. Doom, I played on the hardest available difficulty, and man, was it fun! I love Doom. I love Doom. The new Doom game is a perfect return to form. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I played on the hardest difficulty, and I died a lot.
I don't. How many difficulties does it have? Because
it has like 7.
I feel like I wouldn't have picked the hardest one. I probably would have picked like. Well, especially if there's a lot of difficulties, I'll usually step up 1 or 2 above normal.
Right, but here's the thing: it has 7, but there's only 4 when you start. You unlock the other difficulties by beating it once, and you unlock 3 more difficulties
if there's 4, then I probably picked the second one from the top. So not normal, but hard, I guess, but not hardest or whatever however's set up. But yeah, that game, I fell off of it really quick, but I think it's just because a lot of other stuff was happening at that time, and I haven't even finished it. I think I like barely got to the first area that you can kind of explore.
Oh, that sucks.
So yeah, like I really haven't put that much time into it, and I'm not super like. I'm not a first-person purist in the same way a lot of other people are. So I don't know. I don't.
What do you mean by that?
Well,
I actually don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, it's hard to even explain. Like, I never played the original Doom. I never played the original Wolfenstein. My first-person shooter, I think, was Halo. So
GoldenEye.
So like,
was it GoldenEye?
Oh well, I mean, I played GoldenEye, but I didn't own GoldenEye.
Okay.
GoldenEye is probably the first one I actually played, I guess.
Right. But yeah, Halo.
I'm pretty sure Halo is the first one that I like actually played and beat. So to me, I feel like the kinds of first-person shooters I kind of gravitate towards is more like Halo, and less. So I don't think Doom is very much like Halo. So I think that's might have been what kind of turned me off to it a little bit.
I would say that
Doom
is, or rather, Halo Combat Evolved is closer to Doom than a lot of modern shooters.
Well, yeah,
because
that's because modern shooters are like Call of Duty, and I'm not.
Well, I honestly, I'm still in that bank that was big in the 2000s that Halo was like the start of the modern shooter.
But
Or
But
Half-Life,
yeah, even
right?
compared to even compared to
Or-
no, I wouldn't say Half-Life because Half-Life is the first Half-Life. It is really story based, but it still feels a lot like Quake, at least in the shooting.
No,
Right.
Well,
but I
I
think
don't think it feels like Quake because I guess I was more talking about Half-Life 2, but but I wouldn't say that even Half-Life, it was a like narrative driven story that like I don't think the shooting was like Quake because it was the same kind of thing. I think it was like Quake because that was kind of what shooting was at the time.
Yeah.
Whereas like it was still very narratively driven. It was very focused. It was very like directional and level design based and that sort of thing, which I think is what you can kind of say about Halo as well. And even it like people forget, but Halo 1 did have health. It also had shields, but it also had health. So it's not like wasn't like Halo 2 where everything was just or power shields or whatever.
Everything was over shield in Halo 2?
Yeah,
I'm
Halo 2
pretty sure they had
and
health
forward.
in Halo 2, but you could
No.
Really?
Halo 2 and onward, you just had a shield.
Okay.
And you had like a period of no shields, but if you die, like there was no health packs or whatever in Halo 2.
Right.
So
well, no, and that's what I was going to say. Like I always see like the first Halo was like the beginning of the modern shooter, but like even compared to like Halo 2 and ongoing, you can look back at Halo 1 and think, yeah, this shit's a lot different.
I would say Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Yeah,
Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare is actually the beginning of modern like modern shooters, because I would say that Half-Life and Halo are kind of a different thing.
Yeah.
Like I think those are both, I mean they're in a weird middle ground, but I would not say what they're doing is modern shooter. I would say Call of Duty is modern shooter, but I don't know.
Yeah. So with that in mind, Halo 2 more so, but I really feel like people look at Halo Combat Evolved and think, oh, Halo's where it started to be trash. But no, I feel Halo has a lot of very similar things to like Wolfenstein or Doom. It's certainly less about cover. It's a lot more about like moving around and trying to shoot your target while dodging their shots.
I think when
it came up with stuff like vehicles and stuff, like but that was just fun. It like Halo is a lot closer to like Unreal.
Here's the thing.
Than anything.
I don't know that I would agree with that, but I think what people say, I think what they mean when they say, modern shooters take from Halo is more that like Halo was one of the first ones to introduce regenerating shields or whatever,
right?
Which further got extrapolated into regenerating health, but Halo was the first one that had regenerating shields. It was one of the first ones that restricted you to 2 weapons. Yeah, because most games before that didn't, and most games after that do. So, but I think that Halo striked a better balance. Like I feel like the choices.
The first Halo, yeah.
Well, Halo 1 and 2. I would say Halo 2. I think Halo 2 is a better game than Halo 1.
I actually haven't played very much Halo. I played a little bit of it.
I agree.
Halo 2, I think, is the pinnacle of shooters, like, in that period of time. Halo 2 is, like, one of the few games I would rate a perfect 10. Like, it is almost perfect. Which is weird, because it's, like, the weird middle trilogy one.
Yeah.
But I think in most games, I would say the second one is the peak, most of the time.
I don't agree with you about rating it a perfect 10, but I definitely see like I really enjoyed Halo 2 a lot, and I see where you're like I see why you would put it.
The only real complaints I could have with Halo 2 is the ending, or the ending of the story was kind of a bummer, but like that's so minimal compared to how everything looked and felt and the weight of it. It's why I liked Destiny as much as I did, because the shooting felt good. The impact felt good. The weight of everything felt good. They had
really, really good gunplay.
The multiplayer in Halo 2 was like the height of good multiplayer for me. Like everything basically since has just not captured the same feeling for me. So, like I would spend hours and hours just going to different custom games and just playing with random people. I didn't even like Halo 2 was actually interesting in how it handled its multiplayer because it kind of did both. Like it would have servers, like custom game servers that you could just make and invite your friends to, and it also had a matchmaking system, right?
Right.
So you would play matchmaking games, meet like friends and stuff through there, and then play people in custom games. It didn't have a server browser, but it was like that weird medium where I thought it did the best of both. Where nowadays it's like you either get matchmaking or server browsers, and both kind of have their advantages and disadvantages. So I'm confused why more people didn't take after the idea of Halo. Other than like Overwatch. Overwatch is like the one game that has a dedicated matchmaking and also custom games.
To add
Team Fortress 2 also though.
Oh,
Team Fortress 2 has a server browser still, and it has matchmaking.
They
but
added matchmaking later on, and it feels tacked on.
Exactly.
Well,
to me, it feels the opposite. They added matchmaking later on, and because they added matchmaking, it made the server browser feel tacked on. It killed all these custom servers because nobody plays them anymore. They just hit matchmaking and get put into a Valve server, and so.
I think that was just a specific problem with that community. I don't know that that's not usually how I think it works out. It's just that was a weird anomaly, I think.
Yeah, I don't. It feels. I feel that it has to kind of launch with both of those, basically,
right?
Like Halo 2 did.
Well, I mean, Overwatch didn't, but I think Overwatch kind of. It's okay with one of them being the main one.
Right.
It's just I don't know, like somehow. Team Fortress 2 lost something by adding matchmaking because before it forced people to do custom games.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like
why would you browse for a server when you can just
jump in?
Yeah, so now the only custom servers are the really weird ones.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
And I think that's fine. But I think it took a lot out of it too. But I think that was just kind of a weird situation with that one in particular. I think it's easier to add a server browser to a game that already had matchmaking than I think it is to add matchmaking to a game that had a server browser. I think that's probably what happened.
I think I know what it is. In Team Fortress 2, when they added the matchmaking, it just matched you into one of the servers in the server browser. Overwatch's server browser is totally separate from the matchmaking. The matchmaking matches you and creates a new server. So people can't just jump in and out of match-made games.
Yeah, it's very much a separate
like in TF2.
thing.
Yeah. So I think having that
from.
separation is probably one of the benefits of it, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Doom. But I would say Halo 2 is like one of my favorite games of all time.
Okay.
That's fair.
Which is kind of weird because I always forget about it. But like, yeah, that one is very much like I would say that game is incredibly influential on me as a video game player. So yeah. But I could see how people would say that it started marking the beginning of an end. And I didn't like Doom. Not Doom. I didn't like Halo 3 nearly as much. So.
Right.
I thought they took a lot out.
Definitely agree.
That one. Yeah, so Doom. Doom is good.
Doom is
good. What I liked about Doom is it felt like Doom felt like it was getting back to its roots in a way that other games have been drifting farther and farther because Call of Duty 4 was so popular.
Yeah, well, and not only that, not only getting back to its roots, but doing just the simplest thing. The littlest, tiniest things you almost take for granted in fucking video games to improve Doom as a like
what?
Like to improve Doom as an experience.
You can jump.
You can jump in Doom. and this sounds like a fucking joke, but the fact that
you can't jump in Doom.
You can't. You can't.
You couldn't even jump in Doom 3.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that's adding the littlest thing though.
No. Listen.
It's adding the
verticality in this game. They used the most of it.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like what by adding jumping to Doom, they didn't add a small thing. They completely changed their philosophy, how they designed levels.
Oh,
And the way that, like, the glory kill
Okay.
system, that also isn't a little thing. They totally changed the flow of the game. Like, so
Yeah,
I don't
it
think
is-
Doom added anything small. They
That's
added
kind of
a very
inspired-
focused, intelligent, like, design.
Yeah.
What that's kind of an interesting. The glory kill system is kind of an interesting thing because they just like totally took that idea straight up inspired from Brutal Doom, which was a Doom WAD. Like
Well,
that's really neat that
You could
they like
probably
looked at
even
what
trace.
people.
You could probably even trace that back further to Gears of War,
Yeah.
because I think that's the game that really started having that kind of, I don't know, like,
Yeah.
special finisher thing. I think a lot of
Mhm.
people were worried when they first saw that in the trailer, because it was like, oh, that's like
Yeah.
garbage. That just
Yeah.
would slow you
Everyone-
down. Everybody
everyone.
assumed
No,
that
everybody-
it slowed you down, but
Yeah.
in a way
Before it
to
came
change
out-
the flow.
Yeah, but before it came out, people were like panning this game. They were like, "This
Oh,
is gonna
people
be
were terrified of this game being so bad.
But
To be fair, though, they also released the multiplayer, which everybody forgets even it was a thing. So
Yeah,
they,
and
they had a beta of the
was
multiplayer. So
trash.
Because,
It
yeah,
was
I
basically-
did play that, and it was bad, and I hated
It was basically Quake worse.
Yeah.
I heard it was like, I heard it was similar to Halo, which is funny.
That is kind of funny, but
Halo multiplayer, but I think that it didn't work right for what they were trying to do. So
yeah, exactly.
And yeah, like you were saying, the verticality, and that's the thing about turning up the difficulty in Doom. Why it's like, okay, like I get hit by something, it brings me down to like 40 health out of like 120, and it's like, this would be a problem, but so long as there's still an enemy alive, I can still get all my health back.
Right.
well, in a way,
Just
it
see it
changed.
shoot its legs.
I mean, it's brilliant because it changes the flow so much. Like, rather than being, oh, I got hit by something, I need to hide, it goes,
Yeah.
oh, I got hit by something, I need to go get in something's face so that I can
Yeah.
heal. So it just
Exactly.
changed the, like, the whole intention. It was so it's so
Yeah.
well designed.
That
Like,
that
that's
was
what
another-
everybody, I think, really loved about the new Doom game. It was so well designed.
Mhm. That brings me to, it's kind of a side point, but it's a little bit back to difficulty settings, right? So I played on the hardest difficulty, which I'm pretty sure does just increase health and damage, but like it's Doom, like you might want that in Doom of all things. But Doom also had a bunch of dynamic options for stuff such as turning off the big red glow on glory kill indicators, which I did, turning off your quest arrow, which I did. I basically used the setting menu in the game. A lot of games you would have to download mods for this, but I used the setting menu in the game to make it feel even closer to the original Doom,
Also,
which
Doom
I
runs
think is really cool
well.
that that's an
Vul-
option.
the
Yeah.
Vulcan engine
Uh,
works super
I-
well.
that
I
was
straight
because
up-
of Denuvo.
Bought a new graphics card for Doom, so I don't know.
Wait, you
About
were using a
that.
660, right? Yeah.
I was using a 660.
I'm using a 660 and it runs just fine for me.
Yeah, if you use Vulcan, it
But 660 doesn't have Pascal processing.
doesn't
I-
matter.
Isn't that what Vulcan takes advantage of? Pretty sure. it
Well,
uses
okay,
Pascal
maybe
processing.
yeah, maybe Vulcan is Pascal processing, but
It
it still would probably run pretty well on.
graphics card I did.
I heard it
Yeah.
ran pretty well on other systems, though. It's just you won't
Yeah.
be getting 144 hertz and stuff all the time like I do.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm still
But-
running it at a pretty good 60. I think
What
it's
happened to
turned
me,
down a
I
little
think-
bit, but...
After a loading screen, like I did a level, hit a loading screen, and then I'd be running at like 4 FPS. And then when I relaunched the game, it would be back up to 60. And that's before I got my new graphics card. I think Thel is right. I think it's probably was Denuvo's fault, which I'm pretty sure has been removed from Doom 2016.
I
so
don't even know.
that's not a
actually, but-
concern anymore.
I don't know one way or the other, but either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I should go back to Doom. there's a lot of games that like I just haven't finished. I haven't had time, and then there's this thing. It's like I have all these games I want to play, and then because of it, I just don't play anything, and I do something on YouTube. So I don't know. Like I haven't even started. So I picked up Hob, which I haven't even started. I still have to play Hellblade. Still, like I want to go back to Doom eventually. I still haven't actually finished Breath of the Wild. There's still more I want to do in that game. I haven't finished the last boss in A Link to the Past, but I'm kind of stuck on that dungeon. I haven't.
Right.
I am right before the last dungeon in A Link Between Worlds, and that's just because I got distracted. Like I picked up Ocarina of Time, which I haven't started yet. I did start a little bit of Super Mystery Dungeon. Like I have like a ton of games that I kind of like I want to play all of these games, but I just don't have time.
Right.
It really sucks. Also, I want to play. Oh, I haven't finished Super Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
Oh,
I, like
yeah.
barely putting up that much time in that. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's so many different things I want to play, and what am I doing instead? Playing Slay the Spire, which I have probably seen the majority of what's in that game already. But
no, see, I always do the exact same thing. I'm the exact same way. What did I do
I'm
instead?
not like that often.
WoW.
Though. I'm not like that often though. I just I don't know. I just occasionally that it happens that way. So why don't we transition into WoW?
Right. So I haven't
boy.
played very much of it. The reason I even resubbed to WoW was because one of my old friends that I actually met through Saine, I think, Noxrob, wanted to play with me.
He actually streams,
Yeah.
so
He streams pretty often. He's twitch.tv/Noxrob. You should check him out. After checking me out, of course. And he was streaming WoW, and I just... Whoa. Let's relax here, Len. Not on the podcast, but... So... He streams quite often. He was streaming WoW. I popped in one day and he was like, "Hey, you should come play with me." And I was like, "Nah, I don't want to play until patch 7.3.5, I think it is, comes out." And he was like, "Oh, what's that at?" And I was like, "Yeah, so the whole world like basically scales with you. The like as long as you are at a level, you can scale downwards to lower level zones. So that way you don't like lose out on like in Guild Wars. So that way you don't like lose out on quests. You can do any kind of dungeon." And he's like, "I'm level 54 right now and I'm running Welling Caverns." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, I think that's out." And I was like, "Oh shit." So I resubscribed immediately. So far, it's pretty. I made a new character to play with him on his server, so far it's pretty good. They basically revamped the leveling experience so that one, you aren't like two-shotting everything. I'm using heirloom gear, which is it means it's always going to be the top tier for your level, no matter what. And it still takes me 3 or 4 seconds to kill stuff, as opposed to one-shotting everything I look at. And the fact that I can go into these dungeons that, like, one of the problems with WoW was when you were running dungeons and doing quests at the same time, you would do some quests, oh, the dungeon queue pops. Well, I went through this whole dungeon and now I'm 3 levels higher than I was. This zone that I'm questing in is worthless to me and now I have to run somewhere else. Oh, an instance popped while I was running somewhere else? Well, I guess I have to run even farther. But now you can just stay on that same quest chain. So you're not missing out on any story or anything, which is really, really a cool change. It makes the leveling experience actually fun instead of just purely focusing on level 110 or whatever they're at now.
Right. It lets you actually follow quest chains and feel like you're accomplishing something rather than just doing whatever gives you the most efficient experience in any zone.
Exactly, because you're basically getting relatively efficient experience. Like you're not getting, I don't think you're getting efficient rewards. Like if you do a quest,
I think they scale. I heard that they were scaling rewards as well.
For dungeons they're scaling rewards, but I think for quests you would still get like whatever level the quest is, but you get the same experience that you should get. And really, when you're going through leveling, quest rewards are nice, but they're not always the most important thing, So
Well,
But
yeah,
I'm
that's
not
actually
positive.
what attracted me so much to Guild Wars 2 when it came out, because that was like baked in. That game came out,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it let you do things like fight monsters in or enemies in zones that were higher level than you to an extent. Like you could get away with being a little bit underleveled, but if you ever had to play with someone in some of the original zones, you could go back and do it. I think one of my
Exactly.
first characters, the way I leveled it was I went and did every starting level zone with that character, rather than like
Yeah.
going down the line of like the logical progression of each like
hmm
racial
And see,
racial
that's
zones.
what's
I
so
went and
great.
did all of the starter zones instead,
Like
which
like
might be silly, and that was probably a bad thing for me in the
he's
long run.
streaming
But
WoW right now. He's getting farther ahead of me, and that was always a problem with MMOs, specifically with our friend Rob. He would just play them and play them and play them, and then we couldn't catch up, right? But I subbed to WoW to play with him, basically, and it doesn't matter that he's playing because he's just leveling and leveling, and he'll just come down and play the content with me, and he'll still be getting the same rewards that I like, the same equivalent rewards for his level.
right, and
So
the good thing about scaling like that is it always matters what level you like higher levels. At
mhm.
benchmarks, that's what matters, not so much the going down. So like even in Guild Wars, like you needed to hit like level 20-25 to do explorable dungeons or whatever. But
Right.
but like
Or and you still have a feeling of progression because you're getting new abilities and stuff that you can use.
right.
And it scales your damage back down, but you are still dealing more damage because you have access to more stuff to do.
I'm honestly surprised it took WoW that long to steal that concept from Guild Wars, because Guild Wars like
Well,
that's been out for like 5
it
years or
it,
something
it
now.
technically didn't. They did it in Legion, but they only did it for that set of content. So from levels 100 to 110, all of the zones in the expansion
Well,
scaled
yeah, but
to your
it
level.
stole it, like even in Legion, it's still that concept from Guild Wars.
Yes, it's
So
true.
like that, because Guild Wars, as far as I know, was the first ones to do something like that and make it work.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Let's move on, because I don't want to talk about
Sure.
World of Warcraft all day.
Yeah, that's fair. The next game that I've been playing a lot of recently is I went back to Fallout 4, and I specifically went back to Fallout 4 uh because of a mod that I found called um Fallout 4. God, I forget what it was called. It yeah, it's called Be Exceptional. And basically what it does is it adds back in the old skill system to Fallout 4. Which was my number one biggest complaint with Fallout 4 was that they took away skills and everything was tied to your special and your perk trees. And I was like, oh, this isn't so bad. They didn't take away special. Special is kind of what defined Fallout as a series, but the longer and longer it went on, it was like, ugh, I have to put 2 more points into charisma, waste 2 level ups, just so that I can get this one perk in charisma so that I can not have to travel 400 miles back to my next settlement. And it just got worse and worse.
Yeah.
It just kind of started to suck more and more as time went on. And this adds skills back in, and it does it really, really organically.
There were I was actually turned off pretty quickly when I played that. Like, noticed that in Fallout 4. I think that you had a
Yeah.
little bit more of a honeymoon period with it than I did.
Yeah,
It was
definitely.
funny because we were talking about the game before it came out, and I was like, wait and see to see how it looks when it comes out. Because when you were first hearing about some of the changes, you were very negative about it, and I was saying, no, well, go ahead and just wait and see, because who knows, it might turn out better, it might be good. And then when it came out, I immediately was like, no, this sucks. And then you gave it more of a honeymoon period. You gave it more of a chance. Like, so it's kind of funny that's just kind of how we flip-flopped back and forth.
Well, yeah, and the funny thing is, like, with that is, I feel like just by accident, because it's how I play the Fallout games, I just accidentally picked the right path to go on. And I feel like that kind of goes against the idea of the whole thing. I feel like,
I don't
like,
think
you
so.
know,
I
our
think
problem
that
with settlements because he didn't have like enough points into charisma and couldn't
yeah,
do anything.
so you need 6 points into charisma to get the local leader perk, which basically allows you to use settlements in the game, because if you don't have that game or that perk, you have to individually by yourself haul junk back and forth to different settlements.
Yeah.
But with the local leader perk, you can just set up supply lines, which makes it so that all of your settlements share from one resource pool, so you can actually build at all your settlements.
Yeah, I think what I ended up doing was I was like 5 points in charisma or whatever, so I had to like go out, or no, I was like 4 points into charisma, so I had to like go out of my way to like put points into that. I don't know. I feel like like tacking on settlements on top of everything else kind of made that game worse.
Exactly. But
in a weird way though, like at first I liked it because I was like, it's kind of cool that everything I'm getting kind of like just random junk and stuff contributes towards a goal, right? It makes all of this just random Bethesda junk mean something.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really cool until I couldn't do anything because I didn't have enough Wonder Glue. Couldn't do anything because I didn't have enough duct tape.
Exactly.
And then even when you get the local leader perk that lets you build supply lines, it still kind of sucks because then it's like, okay, if I want to make any meaningful buildings on any of them, I have to focus all of my attention to one,
right.
in order to get anything built. So
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, no.
I think that something about settlements needed to be rebalanced because it's.
And not only that,
I don't
just, like,
really
that,
focus much on the settlements. The reason I use the local leader perk is that I can dump my junk into a settlement, and then at any settlement I want, I can then go and mod my weapons and armor. I think that the unmodded basic weapon and armor modding system for Fallout 4 is one of the really fun things they added, because you can just build up your weapons over time. And
the only thing I don't like about it, I agree, but the one thing I don't like about it is the guns that have the most moddability is like the worst guns.
Yeah.
So like,
it's true.
The pipe guns, I wish that they made the pipe guns be good in the long term so that you could continuously be swapping pieces in and out and have it maintain its usefulness. But what happens is eventually, you're just like, okay, I have this thing that I modded the crap out of and it has all these cool mods, but it's trash. So I'm going to use this 9mm handgun that I have absolutely no mods on, but it's just better.
Right.
And that sucks.
But that kind of makes sense if you think about it, because a pipe gun is made out of wood and scrap.
I don't care if it makes sense. It's Fallout.
Yeah, but like, it's bad game design.
I wouldn't go that far, but I just feel like it wasn't thought out enough. Like I feel like you can make excuses for it because it's like, oh well, logically the pipe guns are made out of like duct tape, they wouldn't be as good. But it's like, if that were the case,
they wouldn't be as good. I'm talking about the moddability aspect of them. Like, there is no way in hell that you could ever possibly turn a 9mm pistol into a Winchester rifle. It's
not
impossible.
True. That isn't.
Yeah, that's not true.
Yeah, because a Winchester rifle, like, there are rifles that use 9mm bullets. You can make a rifle, so it would require a lot of modification, but you could do that.
But at that's the same as the ages-old boat argument. If you swap out every single piece of a boat over time, is it the same boat? No.
Well, I don't. But that's the thing.
Yes,
like, I don't care.
Well, here's the thing.
Like,
no. Think about this. You wouldn't even need to swap out every single piece.
What? How? Okay. So to turn a 9mm pistol into a rifle, you would need to add on a full stock. Yes. Okay.
Add it on. Yes.
Yeah.
And then add a barrel.
Yeah, then add a barrel.
Then add a long barrel. Okay. Then you would need a different receiver. You
wouldn't need a different receiver.
Why not?
Why would you need one?
I mean, it wouldn't be as effective. It wouldn't be as effective as an actual rifle, maybe, but it would. My point is not that. My point My point is
Okay.
not that. It's just that I think that they should have gone harder into the customization of all of the weapons.
Yeah.
Instead, all of the customization is on the worst weapons. Like,
Yeah.
there is very minor customizations you can make to some of the later guns, but it's like
They're basically
feels
straight
half-
linear upgrades.
yeah, it feels
Yeah.
half-baked compared to all of the crazy things that the pipe rifles could do. So it just
Yeah.
seems it was, I don't know. Like, yeah, you wouldn't maybe you would, it wouldn't make as much sense to make a rifle out of a handgun, but that's not even my point.
There is one other, the pipe weapons can do that very, very easily, but the energy weapons like laser rifles and institute weapons all have that same mod ability. A lot of most, I will grant you, yes, most of the guns in the games don't do that, but a lot of the energy weapons you can change into whatever you want. You can take a laser pistol and build it into a laser Gatling gun.
Right.
And I kind of forgot about that because I never use laser weapons.
Yeah,
but
and I just wish that there was more of that on all of the guns. So
Yeah.
that's all I was saying. Like, it feels
Yeah.
like such a half-baked feature.
Yeah. Oh, and
I feel like Fallout 4 is a collection of half-baked features.
Yeah. And speaking of like half-baked features, back to settlements. As someone who spent a lot of time with the settlements, building them all up, is you don't get fucking anything out of it really. It doesn't feel like it has any effect on the world. It doesn't feel like anything comes of it. You just get like these repeatable quest chains that are just the same quest over and over again.
I don't necessarily
Nothing
think that's
happens.
true. I think you just didn't like. If you want to decorate settlements, that's cool, and yeah, you don't get anything out of it. But
Oh no, I didn't. I wasn't. That's not what I was talking about.
But if you can like take your settlement and build a doctor shop in the settlement, and then
Yes, I did all of that.
That is always a place to heal. You can go back to that settlement and heal.
Oh
yourself
no! You're
There's
completely
always a
misunderstanding me.
doctor.
What I'm saying is it doesn't seem to have any effect on the world. It's like the implication is you're building up the world and then nothing happens. It's just like
I also think that's wrong.
Okay.
And I can tell you why.
Okay.
Because you chose to support the Institute.
Uh-huh.
The Minutemen is one of the factions in the game, and they are the faction that focuses on settlements. And the Minutemen get stronger and stronger the more settlements you have. If you had supported the Minutemen, you probably would have felt that effect.
I think so. I think that there's
you can the Minutemen aren't one of like the three battling factions. It's the Railroad, the Brotherhood of Steel, and the Institute.
And
the Minutemen are there, but you can support the Minutemen with the Brotherhood of Steel and the Institute. Or you can do the Minutemen and also one of these.
I'm pretty sure.
So okay, backing up a second. I think that like,
in fact, supporting the Minutemen is how you get to the Institute in the first place. You have to do some settlement building to be able to even get there.
I think that it's, for me, it's a little bit of both. Like, I kind of see your point in that, like, it doesn't seem to do a lot of change to the world or whatever, but I think that there are little bits and pieces, and you're essentially building cities you can return to. So I think that there is some of that. It's just, like, I don't really know what all it would do, because if the same system was plopped into, like, New Vegas, like, I don't know what it would change in New Vegas either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, no, that's the thing. If you remove the system entirely, the game would not change at all. Except now you wouldn't have them.
Right.
Right, but I don't think that I haven't played a ton of Fallout 4, but I is there a reasonable number of cities compared to Fallout 3, for instance?
Not really. One of the things that frustrated me when I first started this run was I play on survival mode, because that's just a quick point about the difficulty thing. All of the Fallout difficulties increase the health and damage of the enemies, and that's all they do. Until you get to survival mode, which adds new mechanics, and that's why I play on it, because it adds mechanics. So I got addicted to some drugs, and I had like a bunch of diseases, and I was like, fuck, the closest doctor is inside of Diamond City, which I can't get to because I'm so weakened by all these addictions and diseases. So instead, what I did was I went back to a settlement and was like, what do I need for a doctor? Okay, I'm going to go collect all of this stuff in zones that aren't so hard.
Well, how many
and then
cities
I'm gonna build a doctor there.
How many cities does it have? Most of them you can turn into settlements, but like there's Diamond
Yeah.
City. Is there any other major?
There's Diamond City. There's one that's built around. It's not the Washington Monument, but it looks like the Washington Monument. I forget what that's called. There's Good Neighbor, which is like a hive of scum and villainy.
Yeah.
And then there is that one that's the quest about the Institute. Like it's basically the Blade Runner quest.
Fallout,
I think there's like
then-
more that I
then
can
there's
think
the
of.
Institute. There's the Institute City, and then there's the
Pridwin.
Because
Yeah.
Fallout 3 didn't have a ton of cities either. It had Rivet City, Megaton, and the Brotherhood place that you couldn't get into.
The tower.
I think the Fallout 4 does have more cities.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I don't. So I mean, I don't know how much I think that like, okay, because here's what I was getting at. If the settlements was like a replacement for cities that you just didn't have at the beginning of the game, like that kind of sucks. But I feel like Fallout 3 didn't have that many cities either. So
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know. Like in a way, it's kind of cool to have the settlements because if you really spend a lot of time building up all of the settlements, then you have a bunch of cities all over the place, and the space between danger zones kind of reduces. You know what I mean?
Right.
So-
Exactly. And that's why I think that the local leader perk being a mid-tier charisma perk is just shit.
So I think that so here's where I'm at with when it comes to the settlement system. I think that it is a good idea. I think it was just not executed great.
Yeah,
That's why I call it half-baked. Like, I don't think it's a bad feature. I just don't think they integrated it
I
enough.
completely agree. This could have been implemented well. I absolutely could have, but they didn't. They wanted to add something in the game so that it would look cooler and have more stuff in it. But
I think Skyrim holds up more on its own than Fallout 4 does, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm biased because I like fantasy settings better than post-apocalyptic, just in general. So,
and I'm biased towards Fallout, and I agree.
Huh.
Just because I really like Fallout.
But Fallout 4 did add a lot of systems that I think would be cool in the next, Elder Scrolls, which I know is far off, but like just even the armor like layering system is really cool for Fallout.
Yeah.
Like that was one of my favorite things. And weapon modifications, like if they did something similar to like even if you flavored it with magic, if they did something similar with weapon modifications on like swords and stuff in Elder Scrolls, that would be fun as well. So I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, and it would be great if we got like some sort of New Vegas type thing out of it, but Bethesda's never gonna let that happen.
Right. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It just seems like I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that Fallout 4 added that I really, really enjoyed. Like, for example, the power armor. The power armor system in Fallout 4 is so vastly better than any power armor before. Because before, power armor was just like, okay, you learned how to use it, put it on, and it's just the best armor in the game.
Well,
That's
not
it.
even in like the original Fallout games. You didn't even need to learn how to use it. You just grab it,
Yeah.
put it
And
on.
now, yeah, exactly. So it's just like, okay, now that's just the best armor in the game. But in
in Fallout 4.
yeah, in Fallout 4, power armor is like, first off, it's limited by fusion cores, which I kind of like because power armor should,
Yeah, I hate that.
if you have it be limit, like, again, it might be the half-baked thing that you were talking about. I think that power armor should be limited in some form. That way you can't just put it on and forget you have it and pretend it's your new pretty clothing that you've been wearing the whole game.
See, this is why I kind of disagree with you on that front. I accept that they wanted to have a limitation on it. I think that's fine. It just changed. It made it more annoying and another thing to manage on my end. But like, I kind of get the intention there. My only thing is, like, I think it would have been fine without it because, for instance, you have your armor is made out of metal pieces. If you take damage to those metal pieces, individual pieces can break, and then they don't protect you, or protect you to a lesser degree. And then you have to like go through and repair that specific part. And like there are certain actions that is just annoying to take the suit of armor with you. Like, for instance, if you want to like go into a place and be sneaky, it's harder to do it with power armor.
Right.
Like there's just different things that like very slightly like I think that there are enough minor limitations that I think that it could work, but I also kind of understand that I see
like
both
it
arguments.
because,
It annoys me is the only thing.
I like it because like I feel that the most important thing that made it really enjoyable to me is that it felt like it made power armor feel like it was a big bulky suit of electrically powered armor. And in the past games,
not just a hat.
Exactly, not just a hat. And in the past games, it didn't feel like that. And
although I do kind of like wearing a duster and a power a power suit helmet, but that's whatever.
Yeah,
that's a minor complaint in the scheme of things.
Exactly.
Although it makes recon armor seem a lot better.
it does, yeah, for sure.
Because then that is essentially power armor of the old games, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Which I think is cool, but
I downloaded a mod a long time ago for New Vegas when I was playing that obsessively, called Powered Power Armor, which I think is one of the things that Fallout 4 has a lot of things that that like were mods for older Fallout games, and they were like, that's a good idea. And Powered Power Armor.
Yeah, it's hard to know how much of that is like cherry picked and how much of that is just that they came to the same conclusion in different ways. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I think sprinting is one of those they came to the same conclusion in different ways.
I think sprinting is like, hey, we should put sprinting in the game.
Yeah, we probably
aiming down sights. Hey, we should put aiming down sights in the game. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, New Vegas had aiming down sights, like base New Vegas.
Right. Yeah, so Powered Power Armor, what it did was add, if you had a mod that made temperature important, it added temperature control. It allowed you to use I think there was an option that could disable VATS if you weren't wearing power armor, and it allowed you to use VATS, because his logic was like, okay, so imagine this. You see an enemy, you look down at your handheld computer and do calculations on it, you look back up at the enemy, and he stabbed you in the throat. Whereas with power armor, it overlays. But that was dumb. I turned it all. I was like, no, fuck that.
I think that
VATS is important.
VATS is kind of a weird concept in general. I think they handle it better in Fallout 4, but
yeah, because it like slows down time instead of stopping.
Right, and then you're still. I mean, maybe you're less vulnerable, but you're still somewhat vulnerable while it's happening. So
yeah.
It wasn't like an old one where you could. In Fallout 3, I remember you would get a hammer, and then you would just run up, and then you would use VATS, and then just like headshot with a hammer from 2 inches away, and you.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you would kill, like, a bunch of people melee. It's dumb.
They did improve VATS from Fallout 3 and New Vegas by doing the one fucking thing that mattered, because in New Vegas, if you were holding a rifle and it clipped through the head of an enemy when it came at you, your 95% chance to hit shots would be 0. In Fallout 4, they handle it really janky, but if an enemy is clipping through your gun and you take a VATS shot, before your VATS shot, your character will teleport slightly back so that it's not clipping through your gun. That was the number one most frustrating thing in New Vegas to me, was the clipping issue.
I thought that made sense, but I think that fixing it is so good.
Well, it made sense if your gun was not aimed at the head in VATS. It didn't work, but the problem wasn't that your gun wasn't aimed at the head. The problem was that the gun was physically going in one end of the head and out the other.
What I'm saying is, if you are using a gun in close range with someone who is not using a gun, or actually, if you're using a gun in close range with anyone, they have the ability to dodge it by like pushing your arm or getting around it. I just think that like, if they wanted that to be that way, they should have represented it that way.
Instead of saying 95% chance to hit and then it actually being 0.
Right, because I think what was happening under the hood was it was calculating a vector between the end of the barrel and the target, so that if there was a rock or something in the way, it would also block it.
Yeah.
But I in the end, it's like I think that it was better to do it the way they did, unless they wanted to go further and make it work that way. But
Exactly. Yeah.
anyway, we should probably get off of Fallout because we've been talking about this for like 20 minutes. So
I love
Yeah.
Fallout.
Fallout, yeah, is definitely
Um,
one of Dawson's favorite games.
Favorite series. I think if I had to pick a favorite game of all time, it would be Fallout New Vegas specifically.
Yeah.
When it comes down to picking a favorite series, Fallout and Monster Hunter are like kind of a toss up, but one singular game is New Vegas.
All right.
So,
Do we
yeah.
want to take a break?
Yes.
let's go ahead and take a break now. I still have one
Okay.
more thing to talk about. That's
Well, we don't got much news.
gonna start a
so-
fight with Thel. So,
Oh boy.
but yeah, let's go ahead and head to break now.
Okay, why
Okay.
don't how about 5:35?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Right?
All right. We will be back in a little bit. Please stay tuned.
Who's this man?
I'm
What are
ready.
his opinion? What are
All
his-
right. Welcome back to Graveyard Media Podcast. We're done with our break.
Yes.
For the last hour, we're going to talk a little bit more about what we've been playing and then head into the news.
Yeah, we're just gonna keep going on the stuff that we've been doing. Yeah, we have news. There's stuff that happened today.
There's
Yeah,
a little bit of
plenty of
stuff, but I think I might have to cut things because we've kind of gone along on this. But
Yeah.
yeah. So
Dalsson, go on.
What
You
was-
were gonna have an argument.
yeah, I
with me.
think
Go
you had
ahead.
one more thing, right?
Okay, I saw
Yeah, I
through
saw a movie.
absolutely no fault of my own, I saw Blade Runner 2049.
Yes.
And
I sat him down and forced him to watch it.
I have like one thing about the movie that I can like I discussed it with these two
At length.
friendos of mine at length.
At length, yeah.
And I have one conclusion that I came to.
Mhm.
There was a twist in the movie that I apparently totally called. But not because I was like, oh, I'm totally calling this. It was a twist that you were supposed to believe was not like there was not supposed to believe that there was a twist, and then
Yeah.
it turns out there is.
Because you weren't paying enough attention.
I just wasn't, yeah. But I don't know how not paying enough attention could have revealed this twist for me, because I was just like, oh,
Well,
yeah.
that twist, they really hammer it home.
Yeah,
They
really
hammer the home the
hard,
opposite of what you're what
Yeah.
they want you to think
But
over
with-
and over
that's
again.
the entire plot of the movie is it's not that twist. That's Ryan Gosling's entire character is not that twist. That's his entire growth throughout the entire movie. In fact, that's the point of the movie is not that twist. Like, it wasn't a little thing. It was the whole movie.
That's why
It was
it was
like
so
his
kind of
reasons
crazy
for
that we
doing
were like when we were
everything.
talking about that,
Yeah.
like I totally was confused that
Yeah.
you didn't get there, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I think we should watch it again when you're feeling like watching it, unlike being forced to do it, Thel.
Yeah. Yeah.
What bullshit? When I was complaining that Thel was gonna force me to watch it, you were like, good, you have to. So now you're just turning it around.
Well, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that whole process, but
Okay.
I
But
did.
yeah,
I
I
also
don't know,
saw a
like-
movie that I totally forgot to talk about.
Okay, go
Okay,
on.
Go on.
What's it called? 12
That good,
Horses? I think it was called. Let me. No, it was actually really good, but I forget what
Oh,
it was
okay.
called. Because I was like, oh yeah, that army movie, 12 Strong.
Oh. Yeah.
Where did you get horses from?
Most of the movie is about them riding horses.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So this was a military movie starring Chris Hemsworth. The guy who plays Thor. You don't know.
Yeah.
And he was the captain of a army of team who went into Afghanistan and fought the Taliban, like almost they were basically the first team on the ground after 9/11.
I see.
And this is like the story of them winning this huge defeat against the Taliban, like immediately going into that, to the extent that the Taliban still considered it the like biggest defeat they're like in the entire like war following, or the Afghanistan conflict or whatever following 9/11. Man, it was a really good movie. It was so well paced. It was like kind of based off a true story, and like it's kind of crazy because this is not like a big spoiler or whatever. I mean, I don't. It's really weird when it's like you're talking about stories based off of real life. How much of a thing is a spoiler? Like, but yeah, nobody dies in the film. None of the main characters die. Everyone makes it through alive because in real life everybody lives. But like there are several points in time where you're like, this guy's gonna die, like over and over again. So the reason why I was confusing the name with 12 Horses or whatever is because when they first drop in Afghanistan, they're like have to meet up with a warlord, like one of the kind of 3 factions who are fighting the Taliban in the region. And like the way that they traverse Afghanistan is with horses, and they kind of give they force the team to split into 2 groups because they only give them 6 horses. Sort of is like you can't tell if it's like really if it's like an insult or if it's just no, all we had was 6.
Right.
So they kind of split into 2 teams, and I think they do a really good job of like establishing like character relationships in a small amount of time. There's some characters who they don't really focus on that much. They were just kind of there too, but there were like definitely a handful of characters who kind of had their own things going on throughout the whole thing. It was so well paced. It was very like heavy action in a lot of it, but it was able to like bring it up to heavy action and then kind of bring it down to planning and stuff. So it kind of had this nice flow. Probably like I would say the best like military film, like military, I don't know what you call that, military film that I've seen in a long time.
Really?
Yeah. Like I granted I didn't watch Dunkirk, but I would say, like, I don't know, it's not going to be Saving Private Ryan, right? It's not going to be to that level.
Yeah, I would almost say Saving Private Ryan is like I personally feel Saving Private Ryan gets like way too much.
Well, sure, but it gets a lot of credit, right? And this one I don't think it's going to rise to that level, but it is like such a, I don't know, such a well-paced movie, such like interesting characterization of all the people. Like I don't know. Granted, it was like mostly the main characters they focus on is Chris Hemsworth character, who's the captain guy, and the like leader of the warlords, or the leader of the one of the northern faction alliance.
Right.
And a lot of that movie is about their relationship. Michael Pena was in it too. He was the Mexican friend from Ant-Man. So if all of you seen his superhero movies like me, that's where I would recognize him from. But he was not as funny because he wasn't like trying to be funny, but he had this like really dry humor that made it like kind of amusing. I don't know, like I was really surprised by this movie because I wasn't expecting much going into it because I was kind of being dragged along, but it was really good.
Right.
If you like, you know, war style movies, like military kind of things, I would recommend it. Definitely good.
I had the same experience with another war movie, Hacksaw Ridge. That one was about World War II.
Oh shit, it only has a 53 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Really?
I don't know, like sometimes my personal opinion is just like way off of the consensus, but
yeah.
I give a real quick shout out to Hacksaw Ridge. You can probably get this on like Blu-ray now. It's
it's been out on Blu-ray for like it was like last year's Oscar.
I don't remember when I even saw it, but it was a really neat movie. It was like just a story about like, you know, one guy, and like the climax of the movie was like just testing his convictions over and over again, I guess. And then at the end of the movie they actually have an interview with the guy who the story was about, who is still alive. He's a World War II veteran, and like Like, basically, he was a conscientious objector, but he still wanted to be in the war, so he didn't carry a gun. And they let him in, and obviously the movie dramatizes how they let him in without carrying a gun or whatever. But
what's it? Just an aside. What's interesting is if you look at only top critics gave it a 61. All critics gave it a 53. So there's like kind of a disparity there as well.
Yeah,
so if that helps you feel any better about my opinion, like
the top critics do like a little bit more.
Right. Neat.
And of course,
But,
people who
yeah,
signed
I
up
don't
for a
know.
Rotten Tomatoes account liked it pretty good.
I don't know how, like, I don't know if I can really say much about Hacksaw Ridge, but like,
you
when
have a
were
similar
saying that
experience.
reminded me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like I was kind of being dragged along to it, and I was like, oh, I haven't seen a movie with you guys in a while, so sure, I'll go. And I was like, I didn't really want to, but
You saw it and it was really
yeah,
good.
it was about a conscientious objector who still wanted to fight in the war, and he basically saved.
He basically
something like,
became a medic, right?
Yeah, he became a medic. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to save people's lives, and he did. This one was a truth that, like, this part of it was true. He saved something like
Yeah, like hundreds
80,
of people, right?
Yeah, no, I think the full count was like 80 something people in one single day on like an assault, just by going up and down a cliff, like, and carrying them back home.
Right.
So
Mel Gibson he's kind of an asshole, but he's a damn good director.
yeah,
knows how to
it was good.
So yeah, like I said, I would recommend if you're interested in that kind of genre at all. Like 12 Strong is a very strong movie in
Very
that
strong
genre. So
Yes.
yeah, and that's the movie I saw this week. So
Okay.
I just wanted to touch on that because I had forgotten that
Yeah.
I had even seen a
Right.
movie this weekend.
I didn't see a movie that I watched The Incredibles again. Okay. That's what I did this weekend. I was like, you know what, I want to watch The Incredibles.
You know, The Incredibles
Okay.
kind of brings up a good point about some of the movies that we talk about on this podcast. It's a good thing that there are bad movies.
Yeah.
Because if all movies were good,
Oh, absolutely.
none of them would be.
Well, yeah, it is, and not only that, but it's a good thing that there are sort of mediocre movies too, because then, like, I can watch like the Justice League, right? I can go watch Justice League and be like, yeah, okay, this is
we would have thoughts about that. We would have a conversation about that. But like when it's
exactly.
and then
when everything's just bad, or when everything's just good,
when
then it's like
everything's good. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, it
well,
was
and not
good.
only that, but what I can do is I can watch Justice League and be like, yeah, okay, this is a movie, and then I can go watch The Incredibles and just be like, this is good, this is nice. I'm glad I'm watching this. This is good shit
I
right there.
can't wait for the new one.
Oh,
There's so
it's
many
being
good
directed
movies.
and written by Brad Bird again. The man is back. He's not working with Damien Lindelof this time. One time he made a bad movie. It was Damien Lindelof's goddamn fault. I hate that fucking piece of shit asshole.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I'm pretty excited for the new one because it's
Yeah,
like
me too.
one of the best Pixar movies ever.
Also,
Yeah.
yeah, it's my favorite Pixar movie, and again, my favorite superhero movie, and there are a lot of both of those.
I don't know if I would say it's my favorite superhero. I kind of categorize
can
it
see that.
differently
Yeah,
in my brain.
I
it's
can
just
see
it's-
that. But yeah, and I feel like this is the perfect time for another Incredibles movie.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Perfect timing, beautiful timing. Brad Bird, bring us to your wonderful
Yeah, exactly.
goddamn world.
Now that Half-Life 3 has been officially canceled after 25 fucking years, The Incredibles 2 can actually come out after 25 years.
Well, someone had to do it.
Okay, so let's move
Yeah.
into news. The first
Okay,
thing
yeah.
we want to talk about is Nintendo Labo.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
I don't know if this is super controversial, but
No.
Some people
I
are
said
mad as fuck about this, though.
Really?
But that's just because
The reason the reason I said oh boy was because this shit looks like the dopest fucking
okay.
shit
So yeah,
I've ever seen.
yeah, I was kind of scared there for a second because I know that people were like ragging on it a lot, saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's just cardboard. You're
Why?
paying all this money for cardboard," but it's like, no.
I mean, yes, you are, but people also spend money on Google goggles, like that
Well,
is
and
literally
people
just
also
cardboard
spend-
that you stick your phone in. Like,
Well,
it's
yeah,
Well, this
people
is,
also spend money on fucking cosmetics for video games.
Yeah, so this
League
is
of Legends
okay.
skins.
We need to back up. So what
Yeah.
this is it's a game first of all that comes with kind of cardboards with designs printed on them, and you kind of have to pop them up or pop them out and kind of create things out of cardboard that work with the game. So one of the things that they show off in the trailer, I will not show, is a like full functioning 13 key piano, and it uses the technology in the like Wii or not Wiimotes, Joy-Cons
Joy-Cons, yeah.
To read what keys you're pressing and whatever using infrared sensors and like infrared bouncing tape and stuff.
I think I can't tell, but from the looks of it, some of them are just straight up rubber bands that move the controller, like the controls.
Yeah, there's there's a lot of different things in it. Like, this is so cool because it kind of it's doing, you know, it's wrapping around kind of the building and creativity thing that you kind of like the Lego idea, like building your own stuff, building your own like play sets or whatever, and then bringing in the like Nintendo as a piece of technology that can really make this stuff work. I feel like Labo would have been what Switch, like 1-2 Switch should have been, right? Like this actually shows all of the different technology that goes into the Nintendo Switch and makes it like make sense and it's cool. Whereas 1-2 Switch was just kind of like a bunch of little tech demo games that got really boring really fast. So
exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really pretty excited about this.
I don't know I don't know if the Joy-Cons. I think this is something we got into an argument about on like our very first podcast. But the Joy-Cons got the tactile vibration.
Oh, 3D Rumble.
HD Rumble.
Oh,
yeah,
HD
that's
Rumble.
it. I don't know if it'll be really strong enough to rumble through the Labo things and like you to be able to feel the HD. That's what 1-2 Switch was really showing off, was the HD Rumble.
I mean, sure. I think that it uses different vibrations in different ways to like make some of this work though. And it's granted it's not all just like the Joy-Cons making it do things. It's also like strings and rubber bands and stuff. Like there's a lot of like building to it too. But yeah, it takes advantage of a lot of the different pieces of technology in the Switch, which is
yeah. I don't see how this is controversial. That's just like a really fucking cool thing. And like you could say, oh well, it's not super creative because you just buy like cardboard punch outs that you put together, but like isn't that what you do with Lego sets? It just has directions for how to put it together. It's still cool.
Well, I think people are they're looking at the price tag and thinking $70 for cardboard, but what they're not realizing is there's a game. Like or not a game. Well, I don't see I guess that's part of what we need to like wait and see. It's not clear how much, you know, we know that the software that it comes with also tells you how to build stuff and whatever, but we don't know what else the software does. So maybe like it could end up being that, you know, you have these cool sets, but there's not much going on in the software end of it. So I don't know, but
well,
I'm pretty excited. You guys are like, what do you think, Dalsson? Would you buy one of these?
I'm really excited for it. I probably will. Not would, but will. I have my Nintendo Switch. I'll probably play with this a lot. And I think that this is kind of like a logical step forward from what Nintendo's been trying to do with their last couple of consoles. Like the Wii, you know, you had a couple first-person shooter games where you were supposed to hold the mouse and then the Wiimote like this, and or you know, the fishing game where you took your Wiimote and swung it forward. But like this has like you can build an actual fishing rod that works. It doesn't work exactly the same, but it's just kind of one more step forward to like blurring the line between pressing a button to fish and then actually casting a fishing rod. You know,
it takes advantage of the same kind of stuff. I heard that the way that the Switch is going to emulate like Wii games and stuff is it, rather than using like an IR sensor to detect positional tracking, it uses the gyroscope inside the Wiimotes.
Yeah,
and
which you can already do
because they're so accurate. Yeah, because they're already so accurate. Like it's kind of funny because during the Wii's life cycle, they had the Wiimotes, and then they released the
The Wiimote with the
Wiimote Plus or whatever.
the Wiimote Plus add-on pack, and then after like later on, they just stopped producing regular Wiimotes and produced Wiimotes with the Wiimote Plus built in.
Right. So that kind of was like a which made it basically 1-to-1.
Mhm.
And it's kind of funny that the sensors and the Joy-Cons have just gotten good enough that they can just do that.
Yeah, and they're smaller than the Wiimote.
Yeah.
I liked Red Steel 2 on my Wii, and that was like the only game I played with the Wii Motion Plus, but the Wii Motion Plus made it worth it. It was cool. You know? Actually swinging a sword however you want.
Yeah. Which I've gone back and forth on picking up Skyrim on the Switch because I do kind of want to fiddle around with the motion controls, which makes me like the one person who actually would, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm interested in Labo. I kind of want to wait to see what is going on with the software before I go in.
Right.
And then I heard you also they'll probably also come out with other templates and stuff. And then they'll probably direct sell the cardboard to you from their website and stuff if you want. If you buy it on the Switch, if you buy it digitally, they'll send you the cardboard, but have the game just be on the Switch. So that's kind of interesting.
That is neat. What this makes me excited for, but I know it won't happen, is Nintendo is kind of creating this idea, right, with Labo. Like, even if the software isn't great, then maybe Bethesda will be like, well, let's build a cardboard bow and arrow.
I don't think anyone else would get away with it.
Exactly. No. I'm not talking about for their own machines. I'm talking Nintendo is like, this is what you can do with the Nintendo Switch.
So basically, like, build your own peripherals kind of deal?
Yeah, exactly. Build your own peripherals.
I mean...
But
maybe. I think that you could get some... I think that you could get some, like, use with this, but I think it's primarily going to be first-party things. Like, you could have... Maybe they'll come out with, like, a new Kid Icarus game or whatever, and you can build some sort of Kid Icarus thing. Maybe that was an awful... Maybe really a bow and arrow, right?
Yeah.
You could build Kid Icarus himself out of cardboard.
Yeah, or what if they sold you like a piece of cardboard with an NF chip in it or whatever, and then you just build your own amiibo out of cardboard.
How about a piece of cardboard that just turns your Joy-Cons into a GameCube controller?
What if you
Everybody would buy that.
What if you bought that Mario cereal,
and
then they had a Labo thing where you could build a Mario amiibo out of the cardboard,
out of the box of the cereal box.
Wouldn't that be funny?
That would be great.
So I think there's a lot of different stuff that they could do, which might be fun.
Yeah, exactly. But that what you said was kind of where I was heading towards. Like, I think that it's good that Nintendo is kind of incepting this idea. They're like, yeah, this is something you can do with the Nintendo Switch. We've done it. Now, how about you? But every single console they have ever done that with, none of the third-party developers have taken advantage of it. Ever.
And although the nice thing about this is it's like, it's so separate since it's like a game. It's not like the console. People don't have to, and no one. It's like not a penalty.
It's not a big deal. Yeah. It's not like with the Wiimote where everybody comes out with games where it's like, okay, no motion controls, fuck that.
Yeah.
Well, I think most did on the Wii just because it was like you had to figure out a way to make a remote control work as a controller. But so let's move on. The next thing is Nintendo is releasing Night in the Woods on the Switch.
Yay!
You have anything to say about that, Dalsson?
I'm probably gonna play Night in the Woods again.
On the Switch.
On the Switch. And take Night in the Woods to work, and I'll play Night in the Woods at work, and I'll be like hanging out with B, and she'll be like, yeah, work fucking sucks. And I'll be like, yeah.
Yeah, same. And your boss will come up, hey, the
Give me...
fuck are you doing? Crimes. What?
I stole these from my boss, who trusted me.
The fuck?
Exactly. I don't have really much to add about that. I just wanted to say Night in the Woods is coming to Nintendo Switch on February 1st.
Yay!
It's the best
that's kind of close.
Yeah, it's like the best goddamn story-driven game in the fucking ever. So please,
Dalsson's
please
opinion.
pick it up. Yeah, fuck you.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Next thing is Microsoft is talking about reviving a new or making a new Fable game. This is super early, and a lot of this, like, I think Microsoft has acknowledged that they're using the Fable IP, but everything else related to it is very much speculation, and it's super early. It sounds like they're only now collecting the team, which they're pulling off of Forza Horizon, which is that not the like the racing one, but the one where you can just drive around, like Australia was when the last one was.
Right.
Where the last one was. And so it was basically an open world, Forza game.
Right.
They're going to be making that team is going to be making a Fable game. The kind of interesting thing about this is they got rid of Lionhead Studios. They closed Lionhead Studios not that long ago, like in the last year. I believe.
Right.
Don't quote me on that. That's probably
that is weird.
So it's kind of funny that, like, in the past they were thinking Fable, or Lionhead, or Fable's dying with Lionhead is what a lot of people assumed, including all the assets and stuff. All of it's gone. So now they're kind of going back to pulling this, like, out of their bag, and I think part of this is speculation. Part of this is what I've heard. So the speculation of this is that they saw Horizon Zero Dawn and how successful that was, and that gave them more confidence in making narrative-driven, like, story games a la Fable. And then the other side of this is, like, Microsoft has so few exclusives on their console.
Yeah.
And some of this is their own fault, because they're releasing things on the Microsoft Store and the console at the same time, which sort of backfires against them a little bit, but because it makes them basically compete with themselves. But at the same time, it's like they really don't have a lot, like, at all. And they canceled Scalebound, so they don't even have that. Like, the one exclusive anyone can name anymore is Crackdown, which has been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back for, like, years now. So I would be interested in a new Fable game. I actually really loved that game. I spent a lot of time playing that. That was one of the few of those, like, open-ended, do-whatever-you-want games that I actually beat. And then I played through Fable 2 with my ex-girlfriend. I never played Fable 3, but, I think the Fable games were really good. So I'm interested in seeing them making a new. Hopefully they take some lessons from modern game design, because some of the things I didn't like about Fable 2 when I played it, but we'll see how things go. So that's cool.
Yeah.
So if Lionhead Studios has been shut down, Peter Molyneux might be not working on this new Fable game, so maybe
Peter Molyneux hasn't worked on any of the Fable games since one.
Yeah, since the first one. Yeah, shit. So we're probably going to know exactly what comes out with the Fable game when it's announced. Or when it's, shown off.
We'll probably have a Fable game that isn't some sort of social experiment.
No, here's
instead
the
of
thing.
a game.
People talk shit about Todd Howard telling lies, but oh boy, they forget Peter Molyneux. That man was whew.
I don't think Todd Howard is
Todd
Howard lies often, does he?
I think they're just exaggerations.
Yeah, they're exaggerations. Todd Howard, like, bends the truth a little.
Like, see that mountain? You can climb it. I mean, you can, but up the specific path they built for you.
No, you can.
Or with a ridiculous
Skyrim horse up the cliff.
Yeah, but I don't know how intentional that is. It's not something they ever fix, but I don't know if how much they intended.
It's not a bug, it's a feature.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay. Next.
Here was the lie. This companion app for Fallout 4 on your phone is the best fucking one. Oh, it sucked.
That's just PR, though.
Okay.
Todd Howard tells little lies. He tells white lies. It's not Peter Molyneux or the fucking other guy, the No Man's Sky man.
So anyway, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is now because recently Tencent bought part of PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds Corp or whatever.
As they do.
As they do.
Yeah.
They're like the Chinese Google.
They
own
have their
everything.
hands in everything, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But so they're continuing to ban more people, but now Tencent is also since it's so familiar with Chinese law, is sending the police to like citizens in China who are creating and distributing like cheat software. So yeah, I don't know. Like it's kind of interesting. They're not gonna be able to get rid of all of them, but it's interesting.
This entire situation is I feel like at some points, like I can sort of hear the bells ringing. This entire situation with Tencent is going to erupt into something very fun. I don't know what it is yet. I couldn't tell you.
What do you mean? What are you even getting at?
No, that's what I'm saying. I feel like that at some point, this whole thing is going to eventually boil down or rise up into some crazy drama or some absolute like destruction of the game, and I'm just sitting here waiting in anticipation because I want to see what happens.
I don't know what Tencent, because Tencent's actually been pretty good about like not hurting the properties it's a part of. If anything, Tencent's only ever added value to things that it purchased.
Yeah, I was with you until you said the game, talking specifically about PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. I think that probably at some point Tencent is going to like become fucking Evil Corp from Mr. Robot. I mean, but I don't know.
Yes, agreed. But
I don't know, because like, okay, like Tencent bought Riot. Well, it bought like more and more of Riot until it just bought all of Riot, right?
Yeah.
And I think that the game League of Legends, I mean, personally, I'm like not enjoying the game design, but that's on the development side. But the actual like platform has only gotten better over time.
Certainly, yeah.
So like Tencent purchasing Riot Games only helped Riot. And I know that Tencent is at least a minority investor in like most games. I think they own part of Blizzard. Like
Tencent's actually, I'm pretty sure, pretty big investor in Activision Blizzard.
Yeah,
so,
and I think even in the Eastern countries, like they're very, well known and popular and good. Like they're not. It's one of those things. Like Tencent owns like tons of stuff, but it's like the Disney deal, right? People are like very wary about Disney buying Fox
everything,
but
Fox
and they're like
Mickey Mouse,
they're like
stuff like that.
Yeah, they're
Evil
extending
stuff.
They're extending, Disney buying Fox as being like, oh, this huge grab or whatever. But if you compare Disney and Fox to like Google and Facebook, then it's like yeah, it makes sense that they're doing this because they're competing against them, so they don't lose, ground. So I don't know that I really necessarily feel like that is a bad thing because of who they're actually competing against.
Right.
So, I don't know. Like it's like I don't see how people can complain about Disney buying Fox while meanwhile Google owns hundreds of companies.
Yeah,
like probably thousands of companies. Like they own tons of stuff.
And I ain't saying like Google ain't also an evil corporation.
Well, yeah. I mean, Google has a certain amount of goodwill. Facebook has a certain amount of goodwill and badwill. Disney's kind of always been pretty well liked, like more often than not, right? So
yeah,
a little bit. I don't know.
I would say more often than not. Like I don't think that they're really thought of as an evil corporation, even though. Because you guys were giving shit to Disney when I was not there on the podcast, but I totally disagree. I think Disney is one of.
Were we?
Yeah, you were. That. I remember, but you guys were. I think that people aren't giving Disney enough credit. I don't think they've really done anything bad because there's not really bad things that they can do. I mean, all they do is release movies and have their theme parks and stuff, so I don't know what else they're doing.
The problem is that intrinsically, liking money is a evil thing.
No, it isn't.
That's how it... Yeah, it is.
Greed is good. like
You say
there's
so.
okay.
I'm not. I'm gonna stop you for a second. I'm not arguing what I feel. I'm arguing.
I mean,
what
yeah,
people
have this weird thing against like they hate anyone who has
people
money.
liking money is bad.
Yeah, but like, I mean, the Western world has lifted more people out of poverty than any other country in the world. I don't know. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
Before we go down that rabbit hole, I just think I don't know, like.
Yeah, that's not the subject of the podcast. We're talking about games.
Yeah, we were talking about PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, but
yeah.
So I don't know, like I think Tencent. It makes sense that Tencent would want to own part of PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, and I think banning cheaters and using Chinese laws against Chinese cheaters is not like that weird a thing.
Yeah, and people might start like, I don't know. This has never stopped e-crime much before, but people might think, oh shit. Some dude got put in jail for 20 fucking years for making a cheat program. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Or maybe I should release it.
Or at least hide about it a little bit.
Hide it better, which means that less people will be able to find it and less people will be able to cheat.
Yeah, not shooting through people through walls from great distances like people do.
Or we experienced firsthand. Yeah.
Okay, so moving on. Bungie released some information about Destiny.
I did not actually read this one.
Yeah, I've skimmed it. So here I'm gonna read a couple of quotes. So
I would like to point out that they did not get caught doing something evil this time.
Yeah, this time, right?
This time, caught.
This is just kind of like them looking back at like what the last year has been for them, because they've gotten a lot of bad will from the game. Like at this point I'm kind of turned off to the game. Like I kind of want to go back and revisit it, and I didn't do all the raids and stuff, but like it's to the point where it's like
at this point you can't.
Oh yeah, I can't do I can do the raids. I just can't do the hardest difficulty of some of the raids, but
right.
Yeah. So game director Christopher Barrett admitted up front that currently the scales are tipped too far towards Tess, the owner of the game's microtransaction fueled Eververse store. That's the actual like character that
right.
like you buy stuff from. And they said that Eververse was never intended to be a substitute for endgame content and rewards. So they're essentially saying that they have been making too much of their post-release content focused on the Eververse. Like in their last, I think they got a lot of flack over their last holiday event because they released a bunch of like new poses and new stuff that all was basically the entire event was locked behind the Eververse, so you could only get any of the content
only way
from
you could
it
get
by
it was
doing
from Bright Ingrams. But when people like first day did the math, if you played 24/7 through the entire period of the event, there was absolutely no way that you could get all of the stuff without paying money.
Right, which only further kind of cycled into the same idea that like that platform only exists to take advantage of people.
Right, exactly.
Which is kind of what keeps being Destiny's black mark. They keep on doing things that people think that just looks scummy.
Whether it actually is their intention or not, people think that they're just pushing Eververse and that's it.
Right. So, like, I think it's good that they're actually like looking at this from the perspective of, we need to, consider some of this stuff because we keep on getting in trouble.
Yeah.
And it says, Barrett says Bungie is still investigating the changes to XP earn rates following a debacle and with a hidden HP scaling system. And they say right now it's too slow in general and lopsided towards grinding specific activities, which is not a fun grind, and we want to fix that without making those activities low value to players who aren't grinding them. So they're still playing with that, but it sounds like their intention is to be more transparent in the future, which what we all wanted in the first place.
I think that all they have to do, like for that specific point, all they have to do is make it work the exact same way that it did in the past, except make it unhidden and say, you get a bonus for going from event to event to event. This low end is the baseline, and playing a different event gives you more experience.
Well, right, and
And
this
it can
is
be
the thing.
exact same numbers and everything.
Here's the thing. No, it can't be. Because here's the thing. This is something we didn't touch on, but it scaled all the way down to 2%.
Yeah.
That can't be the baseline. Like,
yeah.
so, it has to at least be somewhat reasonable. So maybe all you do is or all you like to do is go run around and shoot the same enemies over and over again, and do nothing but public events. But like,
yeah,
they need to, they could encourage you to do other things with bonuses. But if you try to be too negative to as far as 2% of what you would have earned, like that, I don't know. They need to calm down.
Yeah, like WoW Classic did the same. Did something similar. I learned about this recently. Like in World of Warcraft, before any expansions or anything, the system was in the game to encourage you to take a break because they knew from EverQuest that people fucking die playing MMOs because they never want to stop. And your experience, like the longer you played, your experience would scale down to 50% of whatever you would be earning. So they encouraged you to take breaks in between playing, and people hated that. So instead, they made the 50% the normal experience gain, and then you got double experience depending on how long you are logged off, and that's how it is currently, and people love that system. So
yeah, even slight tweaking like that is like, I don't know. It's funny because like in a way it's just psychological manipulation, but it kind of matters, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, exactly.
And like I don't know, a similar example is like Guild Wars 2. If you kill an enemy that recently respawned, they don't give you any bonus experience, and the base experience is relatively low compared to a lot of the things you can beat in that game. So it discourages you. It makes it inefficient to grind one area. But if what you want to do is do nothing but kill deers in this one field, you can do that. It's not...
Yeah, because the way they frame it is you get 20 experience for a kill, but then when you go and kill... Like, I have killed something in a map that I know people don't go in very often, and I've gotten, like, 50 basic... Like, the way that it pops up is 50 XP, and then below it, it's plus 4,000 XP, you know? And I'm pretty sure that that's how much XP I got for that one kill.
But the beauty of that system is it only scales up and it never scales down.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. Like you should never be earning 2% of what you would have gotten. Like that's too much.
That's just too little. Yeah.
But that's all. So I don't know. Sounds good. Destiny's like actually considering their user base. And I think a lot of this is coming from the PC end of it. I think they got away with a lot in Destiny 1 because PC gamers weren't there. Now that it's on PC, like PC gamers have there's a lot of competition in the market, especially in that field. So like but they can't get away with being scummy in the same way.
I have a good friend who was like leaderboards wise one of the absolute best Destiny 1 players in the world. Because all he did was play Destiny 1. Yeah, competitively anyway. But that's because all he did all day in and day out, was play Destiny 1. He graduated school early, and then for a while before he got a job, he just did that. And then he got a job, and still, anytime he wasn't working, he was playing Destiny 1. And that bitch worked a lot. And, like, I've seen some of his tweets recently, and he doesn't have as much time to play anymore, but he's real negative on Destiny 1, or Destiny 2.
Yeah,
and he obviously exclusively plays on PS4 because he's a Destiny 1 veteran.
Yeah, so the tide's turning against them, and I think what happened a lot too with Destiny 2 is they took features out that were in Destiny 1, so they're only slowly building back up to what Destiny 1 was, and then for them to release the game and then release an expansion pack that restricts you further, only to add features that were in Destiny 1 originally, like that seems scummy. I don't know, like
exactly.
So I don't know,
but we've been over all that.
Yeah, we've talked about this, from time to time. But yeah, I'm glad because I want to like Destiny. So maybe this good news will kind of bring me back to play some Destiny again. But I don't know.
All in all, in the end, I think Destiny is pretty fun to play. Like, at its base. It's fun to play. The guns
The
feel
shooting,
good.
the shooting is
You
good.
like to run around and shoot shit, and in a game that's about shooting shit, what more can you really ask for?
Well,
I mean, a lot.
I think that's
obviously,
not.
But
That's probably not the phrase you meant to use, but yeah, I don't know. Like playing the game feels fun, but that what you're doing doesn't feel compelling.
right, exactly.
So,
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Hopefully Destiny can sort some of that out. Let's move to movie news, of which there's not a ton either.
There's not a ton. First thing is Sundance is going on right now, so we're probably going to talk more about that when it's over. It's going to be over next week.
Have you heard anything out of Sundance yet? You probably haven't.
I really haven't. It's been a very quiet Sundance.
Right.
And that's kind of surprising because like last year I was talking about I've still been talking about like I don't feel at home in this world anymore. Wait, no, it's not that one. It's this other one. The Lynn Ramsey movie that she's doing that's a lot of people have really liked that still hasn't even been released. It's like I heard about that from Sundance, and right now I haven't heard very much.
Yeah, I
hear
think
more
indies are
when
getting
it
bigger
is.
than ever. Like I don't think at any point in time indie movies in particular have ever been this widespread looked at.
Right.
In the same way that indie video games are like doing bonkers right now. Like so I don't know.
It was weird. We had like the thing is we had like this really big downslope in like the 90s and 2000s with indie movies, but like in the 2000s they slowly got like, you know, more indie movies from olden days got more popular because of the internet, and because of that gave us this huge stuff that we have now where a bunch of people are making all of these movies based off of all of these, you know,
well, and not just that,
really
but like
nice.
you can get really cheap filming equipment now.
Yeah.
Compared to like you can make better movies than you could, 10 years ago with equipment that costs half as much. So like
technology gets better and cheaper, and it compounds itself. So.
Right. And like movies and like film and that sort of thing, like getting like the gains in production and whatever kind of have diminishing returns at a certain point. Like like indie producers can't do like crazy special effects, but in a lot of ways,
like, if they're telling more concise, really well told stories, they don't need fucking special effects.
Right.
I saw a goddamn movie about a guy last year about a guy who wears a fucking sheet over his head and is a ghost. And it was like one of the strongest special effects. It was like it was in my top goddamn 10 list.
I mean, even when you look at older movies like like Clash of the Titans, I think some of the monsters in that were claymation.
Well, claymation is actually kind of expensive, but
and all of them were Harryhausen stop motion.
Right, but they didn't. But my point was they didn't look good, and it was
at the time it was
at the time it was cool to see, sure, but like it was. It's still a good movie.
For instance,
here's
something straight up. And granted, this was also an indie movie, so it's like whatever. But Evil Dead had a lot of those scenes where like cameras would fly in through windows and stuff. You know how easy that'd be to do now. Like you could get a GoPro and put it on like a clothesline. Like that's all. I don't know.
Or get a GoPro, put it on a drone, which is literally exactly what Sam Raimi did for the show.
Right. So like the amount of the technology and all this is just crazy. It's crazy how this
and also
how
with
things
like
have changed.
back to the special effects. It's the same thing. Like The Incredibles. I watched The Incredibles and The Incredibles visually has not aged super well. At the time, it was a fucking amazing goddamn piece of visual masterpiece. But nowadays, it doesn't look super good, and that's the only one singular.
But
thing
I disagree. I think it looks fine. I think it looks great.
Fine because it's stylized. Like I think if it were trying to be more realistic, of course it wouldn't look. As good
I don't think that
the technology.
I think even like if you go back and watch Toy Story, I think even that looks pretty good.
Oh yeah, it looks like a
maybe the people don't look so great, but like the kids.
Like it's meant to look like a cartoon, and it does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Incredibles is going to kind of forever be like revered in the same way like something like I don't know Lion King will be, right? It'll be around forever.
Yeah, The Incredibles is fucking amazing.
I think the only and the only bad thing about like Disney using like special like CG stuff is I think over time it doesn't age as well compared to traditional animation. So like you could go back and watch like Jungle Book and stuff, and that still looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean you can tell because like even 2D animation has come a long way, but that ages better than like old 3D movies. So
right,
yeah.
Some of them age. Some older 3D movies age decently, but like take A Bug's Life for example.
Yeah.
Like sure the characters still look good because they're just cartoon characters, but like one of the things that they try and show off is like, oh look at this water drop and the rain and these leaves and like those are totally plastic, you know.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I think
very much at all.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons I think Toy Story works well, because that style of animation did look like plastic, but the toys are plastic.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So yeah.
And we won't talk about Woody getting wood anymore. Moving on.
Anyway, Peter Jackson is going to be directing a World War I movie. That's all we know about it.
Oh,
okay.
That is not what I put in not discussing, but okay.
Oh yeah, okay. But yeah, that's one of the things that he's going to be doing. We don't know very much about that, but you know, it's going to be there. There's going to be some Oscar rules that have been edited because you know, if you guys remember what happened last year, Moonlight won, but the dude thought it was La La Land, so it's like they're going to implement some stuff with that. And finally, the Crocodile Dundee movie is being made.
Wait, Moonlight won?
Yes.
But I maybe I'm confused.
Yeah, Moonlight was the one that won. The dude announced that La La Land won, and then someone had to go on stage and say, hey, actually, Moonlight won.
Okay, I remember that now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, BoJack, calling that shit again all over the place.
Who's that dog? Okay. Yeah, speaking of BoJack, I can't wait for more BoJack.
Straight up happened. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that's just a consensus. I think we've always got an air of that. Like that just goes unsaid.
It's like January. I'm like, January's halfway to July. BoJack in half a year.
Soon, friends. What else? Oh yeah, the Crocodile Dundee movie. Crocodile Dundee movie is being made. This isn't super interesting in of itself, and isn't why I put it in. Because who cares? But that's the thing. I didn't hear about that beforehand. If this movie was made sort of quietly, so as not to attract the press. What was the last goddamn movie that you can think? The last Hollywood movie that was a remake of something else that you can think of that was done like that? Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which proves you still can.
I'm thinking about even like Ghost in the Shell and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I heard about casting way ahead of time and stuff.
Yeah. Remember back when Christopher Nolan was doing The Dark Knights? He had it under
Batman
like
Begins.
a secret name, and he casted what was his name? He casted the Joker.
Oh
no.
Well, Batman Begins was the first one.
Yeah, no, Dark Knight. I'm still talking about Dark Knight.
Okay.
He casted Heath Ledger as the Joker, like immediately, and then he had it under a fake name so he could do some shooting before any of it got out. And you can still do that. I thought personally that the age of that was over. That you get like pictures of the Infinity War cast immediately as the movie.
Well, that's
started filming, but
that's a bad example because of course you know who the Infinity War
want to
cast is.
Oh yeah,
that's
they want to publicize that.
Well, no, like the Infinity
But yeah,
War.
you already know who it is because you've seen all the.
Well, yeah, you already know. I mean, it's not necessarily even because of the cast, but like all of the stuff surrounding. There's always a bunch of stuff in the movie, and you already know like half of the plot of the movie before the first trailer fucking comes up. And this movie didn't do that, and that's why I put this in because it's interesting. This movie
When's
just
it coming
decided
out?
to go the whole way down. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, well, maybe it's just early.
Maybe it is just early.
Maybe we'll get a lot of maybe in a year from now we'll be like, oh my god, they're talking about this movie so much.
Yeah. It just got its first trailer and it comes out this year actually.
Oh well, weird. Anyway, let's wrap up here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what's going on the YouTube channel this week, Thel?
So we already got we got one of them Roblox videos already up on the YouTube channel right now. Then next week I'm going to be doing a Streets of Rogue.
If you ever wanted to hear Saine be wrong about Pokemon designs, go watch the Roblox video.
I watched the first half of it or something.
Yeah,
but I haven't seen.
I think he
yet.
puts the whole argument we had about Poplio being a clown, or
Yeah.
Poplio's a clown.
Great, you get to watch me make a fool of myself,
yeah.
I guess, because I was misremembering what the evolved forms of Poplio look like. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So that's up there right now.
I still maintain that it looks dumb, but that's my opinion.
Fair.
It's up there right now.
Not as good as the first one, I'm gonna say, but
Yeah, well, here's the
probably.
thing. Again, it's literally just a combination of.
Yeah, it came from the cutting room floor. The good parts were in the first one.
Yeah.
yeah, but like, okay, I probably wouldn't have left in more baby stuff because you had enough of enough of the good stuff of the baby stuff in the first one that you probably didn't need any in the second. But that's whatever.
Yeah.
No, like I definitely watch that because it's funny. But yeah.
That's up. Streets of Rogue video soon, gonna come out this Monday. Then I'm probably going to take and then like in 2 weeks after that, it's going to be a new Hollow Knight video.
You know which are you gonna? Is it gonna be another guide kind of thing, or are you gonna be talking about specifically like some of the DLC?
It's going to be a guide on Trial of Fools.
Trial of Fools.
Is that one of the DLC, or is that just a random spot?
That's it's the arena mode.
Okay.
Okay.
What's coming up on your Twitch channel this week, Dalsson?
Actually, I do have something very particular. I guess by the time that anybody sees the VOD or the upload of this podcast, it'll be gone. But tomorrow, from when we are live, meaning the 23rd of January, Subnautica 1.0 hits. And Subnautica is probably my favorite horror game and my favorite survival game, which I do not like very many. So I intend to do my current intention is to do a 24-hour stream, and that's what I've been saying. And I know in the back of my head that I'm not going to be able to do it, but I'm going to be going for as long as I can. I'll call it a marathon stream of Subnautica, starting from when it drops to as long as I can go without passing out or having a heart attack.
I don't think that game's technically a horror game, which is what's funny about it being your favorite horror game.
It's scary.
It's scary, but it's scary, but I don't think it's technically a horror game, right? Which is kind of funny.
It's meant to be a horror game, though. It's supposed to be scary. I don't think it's meant to be like a horror game in that there are scripted horrific things that happen.
Oh no, I mean like
it is intended to be atmospherically scary.
But I think even the things in it aren't necessarily monsters. They're just weird ocean things.
True, but there are also monsters like Reaper Leviathans, which are straight up designed to look like horror movie monsters. So,
well, I would say that some underwater deep sea water already look horror movie monsters.
And that's the point. That was the design philosophy behind Subnautica, that underwater is scary, so let's make it look even scarier.
Well, here's the thing. You know what's funny? Alien had like that, the tiny mouth that jumps out and eats people, and then we found a underwater creature that had the exact same thing without having any goddamn idea. Complete correlation of these two horrible fucking monstrosities that just happen. It's just sometimes horror movies look like underwater monsters on purpose, and sometimes
truth is stranger than fiction.
Yeah,
exactly.
Sometimes it's just
or at least as strange.
Horror is horror.
Hey Dalsson, have you played any of the Resident Evil games?
Played Resident Evil 4.
Oh right. Other than that one,
probably.
Have you played any of them?
I think I played the one where you play as
Dave?
Chris's sister.
Evil 2, Claire Redfield.
Yeah, you played as Claire Redfield, but it was a remake of it. It wasn't the original Resident Evil 2. Couldn't have been?
No, because they have not. They re-released it like with an HD patch or whatever, but they've never remade it. They're actually talking about re-releasing it soon or remaking it soon or having it come out, because I think they've been working on it for a long time. So,
But yeah, I played that one. And I played Resident Evil 4, and you and I played Resident Evil 5 and 6.
right.
Yeah. Resident Evil 4 is obviously my favorite of the ones that I played because pretty much everybody agrees that Resident Evil 4 is like one of the best in the series.
It's funny because it's
discounting
my least favorite
Resident Evil 7. Really?
Yeah.
But that one was like that was one of those games that got like perfect 10s everywhere when it came out.
Yeah,
too.
but it wasn't.
Yeah. It was also one of the only games I've ever replayed.
This is the only Resident Evil game I've never finished. So
that's so funny that we have such a disparity because
well, I recognize that it's a good game. It's just not it isn't as like, Resident Evil-y. And neither was 5, but 5 was co-op and so was 6, so I was more likely to finish those games.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, but I really want, like, I really still think we should sit down and go through Resident Evil 7 with you playing it, because Phil and I have both played it, so it'd be really interesting to see you play
just
it.
Just make me do it. Just make me do it. We were talking about Blade Runner and how I hated to be forced to do stuff. Just make me play a game. Play games is different for me. Just force me to do it. Just be like, all right, Dalsson, you're playing it tonight.
Yeah, that would make a good video, though. So tomorrow there's going to be another Divinity game video. And then after that, I might start cutting longer ones, because the next one is going to be like 30
tomorrow
minutes,
is in Tuesday or Thursday?
Oh, yeah, Tuesday.
Is it the 20th? So the 23rd. So by the time you're watching this on YouTube, it'll already be out.
Right. And then after that, I think I'm going to cut longer videos, because not a lot of people watch them anyway, so I might as well just make them longer.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And then when people do start watching them, they won't have to skip through videos.
Right.
Constantly.
Other than that, I think that's it. I don't think we have any other plans this week to my knowledge, so that's it.
Yeah.
Wait, one more thing, actually.
Yeah.
One more other piece of movie news that I'm just going to put right at the end. Razzies got announced. Go look them up.
I don't know what that is.
Really?
Razzies?
Okay, so you know what the Oscars are?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't. Yeah. Okay.
The Razzies, the Oscars, but for
I thought you meant a movie called Razzies.
Yeah, I did too. I didn't
that
realize what you were talking about.
Okay.
No.
If you had said Razzies Awards or whatever, I would have.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. Fair enough.
Okay, so with that, we're gonna end the stream here. Thanks for joining us for this week.
And remember, I think, as always, the most important part is to stay beautiful.
Yes.